Have you ever stopped to wonder why some countries continue to produce coins that actually cost more to make than the value printed on them? Like, how is it possible that a 1-cent coin costs 2 or 3 cents to produce? It seems inefficient, maybe even ridiculous. But the truth is, this happens more often than you think, and for reasons that go far beyond just the price of metal. Let's break it down. One of the main reasons is the material used to mint the coin. Historically, coins were made from valuable metals: copper, nickel, silver, and even gold. These metals were chosen because they were durable, available, and held intrinsic value. But over the decades, things changed. The prices of these raw materials skyrocketed due to inflation, supply chain issues, and global demand. Suddenly, the metal in the coin became more valuable than the coin itself. For example, the U.S. penny used to be made almost entirely of copper. But as copper prices went up, the U.S. mint switched to zinc with just a thin copper coating. Still, the total cost to produce that 1-cent coin, once you include materials, labor, equipment, and distribution, stayed well above its face value. And this isn't just a U.S. problem. Countries like Canada, Australia, and even some in Europe have faced the same issue with their low-denomination coins. Now here's the interesting part. Couldn't they just switch to cheaper materials? The short answer is yes, but there are consequences. Governments can and have experimented with alternatives like plated steel or aluminum. These materials are much cheaper and easier to source. However, they often wear out faster, corrode more easily, and feel lighter, almost toy-like. That may not seem like a big deal, but it impacts how people perceive the value of the money in their hands. A flimsy, cheap-feeling coin can reduce public trust in the currency overall. And then there's the question of design. You might think coin designs are just for decoration, but in reality, they play a much bigger role. The engravings, symbols, faces, and fonts on a coin represent a country's identity, history, and values. Designing a coin isn't just about making it look good, it's about making it memorable, secure, and official. But the more detailed and artistic the design, the more expensive it is to produce. High-detail minting requires specialized equipment, more time, and higher production standards. So again, why not just simplify the designs? Why not ditch all the tradition and make minimalist coins with the cheapest metals possible? Well, here's where culture and national pride come in. Coins are more than just currency. They're tiny pieces of national identity. People become emotionally attached to them. Think about how certain coins commemorate historic events, honor famous people, or celebrate achievements. Some countries even invest in more artistic designs, not less, as a strategy to make coins feel like collectibles instead of throwaways. Countries like Canada and the UK release beautifully designed limited edition coins that people often keep instead of spending. This turns the coin into something closer to a piece of art than a financial tool. Interestingly, this actually helps the economy. When people collect coins instead of spending them, governments don't have to replace them as quickly. And in some cases, those coins are sold at a premium, higher than their face value, which brings in more revenue for the mint. So in a way, a more expensive coin can end up being a smarter long-term investment for the government than a cheaper, forgettable one. But the truth is, minting coins at a loss isn't sustainable forever. Many countries have started to phase out their lowest value coins. Canada, for example, officially stopped producing its penny in 2012. Retailers round transactions up or down to the nearest 5 cents. And guess what? It worked. The public adjusted quickly, and the country saved millions in production costs. Other countries, like New Zealand, have taken similar steps. Still, the process isn't easy. Removing a coin from circulation involves changing pricing systems, reprogramming cash registers and vending machines, updating accounting practices, and, most importantly, getting the public on board. Many people resist change, even when it makes logical sense. So governments tend to move slowly, testing ideas before fully committing. There's also the factor of coin lifespan. Unlike paper bills, coins can last decades in circulation. Even if a coin is expensive to produce, its long-term use may justify the cost, especially if it takes years before needing to be replaced. So the initial production cost might be higher than the face value, but over time, that cost averages out. And let's not forget, Cash is no longer king. More and more transactions are happening digitally. Credit cards, mobile payments, and online banking are making physical coins less relevant. Some governments are even considering digital currencies, which could one day replace coins entirely. But until that happens, countries are left with a tricky balancing act. Make coins cheap enough to be practical, but valuable and beautiful enough to be respected. So yes, countries can make cheaper coins. They can use simpler designs. But doing so means walking a fine line between economy and culture. Between saving money and honoring history. Between practicality and pride. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway. Coins are more than just a tool for buying coffee or paying for parking. They are symbols, stories, pieces of art that live in your pocket. And sometimes, the value they carry isn't measured in cents, but in meaning. Right finger if you found this helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon for more content like this. This is J03, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.